Hey yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy Matthew Maley for MatthewMaley.com. We are back on the couch and it is time for another weekly movie review with yours truly. So this week, there's actually some good movies coming out here, and was able to check out one of them I was really interested in seeing. I'd seen the original, so when I heard that they were remaking it in an English version, and then when I found out the people that were going to be in it, I was definitely intrigued. And I gotta say, it very much lived up to the original, which I thought was also a very well done film. I'm speaking of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which was originally a Swedish movie, which was a adaptation from a series of books. There are actually three, I believe there's three books. I know there's three movies originally in Swedish. I've seen two of the three movies. Actually, they were on Netflix for a while before it was ever even well, it had been announced they were coming out with an English version, but nobody really built up any fanfare about it. So I saw the first one, and as well as the second one, and thought they were both very well done, interesting flicks. And I had not read the books. I will say that I have not read the books, but I definitely did like the movies. So when I heard that they were coming out with an English version, and it was going to be starring Daniel Craig, who I'm a big fan of. I think he's a very good actor. I think sometimes he gets overlooked, but I really do think he's solid. Really liked him in Layer Cake. I thought he's been a really good James Bond, even though I know a lot of people hate on him about it. I think he's kind of a different James Bond. He doesn't follow the same mold as Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, Roger Moore. I think he's a different style Bond, though I still think he's a very good Bond. So I've always thought he was pretty good. I wasn't really familiar with Rooney Mara, just other than that she was related to the Mara family who own the New York Giants. And I knew that she had a small part in Youth in Revolt as well as in Social Network. But I wasn't really that familiar with her per se. But it makes sense that she would be in this movie because David Fincher really liked her. And, well, he's just a great director, and based on his other films that she was in, boom, now you got it. So, right off the bat, we'll give you a kind of a breakdown of the film. The film follows Daniel Craig, who is a journalist for Millennium Magazine, which is a prominent magazine in Sweden. But he is charged and prosecuted with reporting false news, essentially. He got set up by a rival, if you will, and as he says, he took the bait and he was stupid and reported something as fact that was simply from an anonymous source, because he kind of got blinded and wanted it to come out so badly that he didn't really check into it the way he was supposed to. So he, because he just lost this case and had to pay a ton of money, he's kind of almost like on leave. In a way, he almost kind of fires himself from the magazine. And through some random encounters, I guess you could say, he is approached by a head of a family off in this very small island town in Sweden, who asks him to kind of undertake an investigation into one of his missing family members who's been missing for 40 years. And as the guy says, this has been his life goal, was to try and find out what happened to her. And, at first Daniel Craig's character is rather against it because he doesn't feel, what can he do? If this guy's been trying for 40 years, what is it that he can add? But because the guy's very forceful to keep pushing and pushing, and essentially says, I'm going to pay you double your salary. You have nothing else better to do. You're pretty much suspended anyway. Why not do it? So he ends up agreeing, but says, he has to have free reign to everything and gets to choose who he wants to work. Well, it ends up coming out that, in fact, his accounts and his email and everything was being hacked by a young, tattooed, and very pierced hacker named Lisbeth. Lisbeth is played by Rooney Mara. So she and him end up having a rather contentious friendship in the beginning, but it ends up growing into a good partnership. They work well together. She's, absolutely incredible with anything in terms of technological research, whereas he's really good from a face-to-face interpersonal standpoint. So they work well as a team because parts that he's lacking in, she's a beast. Parts that she's lacking in, he's a beast. So the levels that start to show, oh, it's so multifaceted. It's just layer upon layer upon layer. It's like peeling an onion. There are so many layers and levels that come out once they start investigating this one person. And that's what's crazy is the depth in which it goes. And it really is cool seeing the process of how the information's coming out and how, they're solving this and solving that and solving this. And what I liked is that a lot of times when you get, things like this, it becomes unbelievable because you're like, come on, how are you really going to, to put two and two together from that? It's like, the best detective in the world wouldn't have figured that out. But what I liked with how they directed the movie and how it was written in the first place is really all of the elements, all of the facts that come out are things that, a good detective, somebody who's observant, somebody who's smart and paying attention could do. So I like that they didn't make it to the point where these people are, the end-all be-all of detectives and they can solve anything. I liked how they did that, honestly. And as they got deeper and deeper into, figuring out what actually happened, we find out that the family was and is full of secrets, full of dark secrets. And as they start to come out and start to see the light, things really start to get crazy. So I'm not going to give away, much of I don't want to give away the ending, though if you've already seen the original, you already know what happened. They did end it a little bit different, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I saw the original. I'm actually going to go back, get on Netflix and try to check it out again, because how they ended this one, I believe, was different than how they ended the other one. But I gotta say, David Fincher is a great director. He did this movie completely to justice. And, sorry, my phone's going off. And not only that, not only did he do it to justice, but I think that he made it better in some ways, honestly. I think Daniel Craig was very, very well done, just like I thought Elizabeth's character also was very well done by Rooney Mara, sorry. And I also thought that, I believe it was Stellan Skarsgård. Was it Stellan? Yeah, Stellan Skarsgård is the guy who plays Martin Wagner. And he's one of the lead characters within the family. And I thought he did a very good job as well. He's been in a few other movies that I really liked him in. And I thought he did a great job. So I don't want to give anything away about the movie, so I'm not going to go into the nuances of the plot of how it ends. But I will say, prepare yourself for a little bit of a long movie. It comes in at almost 2 hours and 15 minutes long. And in the current world that we live in of hour and 35-minute movies, it does go a little long. But I really don't feel that there were many scenes that could have been cut out, simply because the level of complexity to the investigation means that you're going to need to show more of the investigation. So I was actually perfectly fine with the amount of time that it went. And there really weren't times where you're like, oh my God, well, come on. So I thought that was well done. Other thing I want to say is, I'm sure you guys have heard of it because it was pretty well publicized, but there's a couple rape scenes in it, but there's one that it's brutal. I mean, like, brutal. Like, you think American History X was bad? Wait till you see this. So keep that in mind. If you're somebody like me, you wouldn't want to see this movie with your mother or any family members. So just keep that in mind. I want to put it out there. It definitely earns its R rating. It would earn its R rating just off of that scene. In fact, I'm kind of surprised it didn't even get an NC-17. Just on the amount of nudity as well as, just torture as there was. So keep that in mind. Just want to throw that out there. So it's definitely a very uncomfortable scene. It's not like it's a quick scene either. It goes on for a while too. So David Fincher said that that was one of the key points he wanted to portray was that scene because it really went into kind of showing and explaining why Elizabeth was the antisocial, somewhat of a misfit in a way. And I definitely think it does a good job for that. So overall, what do I rank it? That's right. We'll get to that point. I would have given the original movie 4 stars, and I give this movie 4 stars. I think it was as well done as the original, if not better in a couple scenes. Just the fact David Fincher is just a great director. So I thought that there were some scenes that were just were better shot in a way. I think that there were some scenes of how they did some of the angles that was better. I thought some of the scenes of how they did some of the conversation work was better. I actually liked how David Fincher filmed this more than how the original director filmed his. But all in all, I would give it the same 4-star ranking. I think they both were very well done films, but neither one of them are ones that I would really want to own or watch again. Which, you know, I've said usually 4-star films are ones that make it into my collection. But as well done as it was, and as great of a performance as Rooney Mara gave, and I think it's unfair because both Stellan Skarsgård and Daniel Craig gave great performances, but they both got completely overshadowed by Rooney Mara's performance because she did so well and because she was pretty much an unknown actress. She went from being pretty much unknown to the 30th ranked person on all of IMDb. So that's saying something. So I definitely thought that everybody did a great job and it was a great movie, but I really don't see much rewatchability for it. So for that reason, I won't be adding it to my collection. But I'm definitely excited to see the next 2 films and see how the story progresses from there. So everybody, let me know if you guys liked it. Let me know what you guys thought of it. It did win some Oscars, so you can check this one off my list of, I always like to see all the Oscar-nominated films, so this is one of them. Now it's on to another one. So let me know what you guys thought. Did you love the movie? Did you hate the movie? How did you think it stacked up compared with the Swedish version? And how did it compare with the books? I haven't read the books, so let me know how it compared with the first book, and also if it was a pretty straightforward adaptation from the books. Also, let me know if you guys have seen the Swedish version recently, if I was right and that the endings were a little different. What I'm talking about is the leather jacket. I don't want to give anything away, but the leather jacket at the end, I don't remember that from the Swedish version. So let me know. As always, thank you very much for checking out my videos. Much appreciated. If you can, like, comment, and subscribe this video up on YouTube. You can always search for my videos on YouTube. Search for MatthewMaley.com or Matthew Maley Poker. Either one. Come up there. As always, you can check me out on MatthewMaley.com directly. You got the video blog right there. You got the discussion tab. All that always being updated, so keep checking back there. Of course, you can follow your boy up on Twitter at Matthew Maley. Always tweeting up on there about sports, movies, all that. And of course, like your boy's page up on Facebook. Search for Matthew Maley Poker. Like the page, suggest it to your friends, and I will appreciate it. So, thank you as always for checking out my videos. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and hopefully you like this film and this video. So until the next video, I am officially signing off. Peace out, y'all.